This is the E36 we've been building for the past few months. What started out as an instant oil change somehow ended up in us making our own carbon doors. But when it comes to the E36 interior, there's not a lot of things you can do that haven't been done already. You see, even though BMW never made the CSL version of the E36, we figured we can somehow bridge the gap. So we took a look at the E36 CSL carbon center console and we figured, why not do that to our E36? So we're simply gonna 3D scan the car, make our own design, make a prototype and make it in carbon. So this episode we'll be making our very own side skirts, CSL console, bunch of interior upgrades and a bunch more I'm regretting. Forget it.
So basically what we tried to do is mimic the E36 CSL console, but make it fit with an E36 interior. You can see that the design slowly evolved into what it is now because we ran into some issues. For example, Jesse has an enlarged... Jesse has an iPad as a phone, so the phone holder wasn't big enough. So we had to change it. So this is what we've got. As you can see, we made it fit perfectly with the E36 dashboard. Plus, we maintained a hole for the original handbrake boot. And Jesse has a place to put his phone/iPad. So all there's left to do now is make it in carbon.
Can't explain all the feelings that you're making me feel. My heart's in driving, you're behind the steering wheel. Touching you, touching me, touching you, God, you're touching me. I believe in a thing called love, just let me tell you in my heart. There's a chance we can make it now, even if until the sun goes down. I believe in a thing called love. I wanna kiss you every minute, every hour, every day. You got me in a spin, but everything is okay. Touching you, touching me, touching you, God, you're touching me. I believe in a thing called love, just let me tell you in my heart. There's a chance we can make it now, we can make it till the sun goes down.
And there we have it, a big chunk of polyester gel coat and glass fiber mess. So we're gonna take it out. Yeah, she's a beauty. Looks can be deceiving. So we're gonna take off the glass, trim away some of the excess material, and then try and take out what's left of our plastic prototype. This is the only thing they had in stock.
Touching you, touching me,
don't talk about it.
How did we do this?
So, this looks easy, yeah? Because you're focused and you're worried about doing a layup in here. Except, you're not doing a layup in here, you're doing a layup in here. You know, where I can't even fit my finger. And somehow we gotta do 3 layers of carbon, a layer of peel ply, a layer of resin flow shit, whatever, a bag, and then double that because it's gotta be on both sides.
I'll give it to the next person.
How on God's earth are we gonna do this? I'd rather make another fucking door. Okay, we thought about it for a night and we're gonna try it. That is because, well, we've destroyed the mold, so at this point. Okay, so the mold itself actually turned out really nice if you don't take into account the critical design flaws. So we're gonna bolt them together and start laying up the carbon. We got a little game plan. It might be used in future episodes as what not to do. We're gonna give it a shot.
Let the stars fall down, let the leaves turn brown. Still you know you could never make me love you more. Let the rainwoods die, let the wells run dry. Still you know you could never make me love you more.
We've lost something quite important, which is the vacuum. And in a vacuum infusion, it's pretty critical.
Good morning, sunshine.
Okay, so it's not all bad. Like, there's a silver lining, okay? We left yesterday because after or during the infusion, something went wrong, terribly wrong, because we started seeing air bubbles in the resin, which is never a good sign because it's supposed to be a sealed bag, so there's no way for air to creep in, except it did. Now, usually, out of experience, that results in a complete failure of the part. However, it seems, oh, this is gonna backfire so hard. It seems like the air has only really reached the outer skirts of the thing we're trying to make, like the deeper features of the mold seem to be okay. So I am slightly delusionally optimistic that we might get a savable part from this, because I really don't want to do this layup again. I mean, as far as car crashes go, this seems pretty. The airbags haven't deployed, okay? So.
You're jinxing.
No, that's my way. It's gonna be jinx if I don't jinx it, because jinxing is all I've ever done.
Okay.
I'd be breaking tradition if I didn't jinx it. We're not seeing any major air gaps except for this one right here, which seems really fixable. I'm pretty optimistic that the surface is at least seriously savable. The next issue is gonna be, yeah, without the draft angles. So sure, forget to add the draft angles in the model. So now it's gonna be fucking parallel like this.
Just testing how bad you want it.
I forgot about that part.
Knew the consequences.
Well, something broke. Okay. So we've come to the conclusion it's gonna be either the carbon part or the mold. And there's just no way. Well, I mean, maybe in some faraway, distant galaxy, someone will be able to get this out without destroying the mold, but not in this reality. Which means we're not gonna use this mold to make another nightmare like this. So either way, we're gonna never use the mold again, or we might as well destroy it now and save what's left of this, because we've been at it for about 2-3 hours now, trying to just gently get it loose. But there's just so much tension on the part already that it's starting to form a little bit of, what do you call it, tears. We don't want to risk having the tears run into the part. So at this point, there's really nothing else to do except to gently sacrifice the mold and try and get this out in one piece. Because even though we thought the infusion failed and it wasn't exactly a success, it's looking really good so far. So we're gonna get this out in one piece, sacrifice the mold. All right, quick ad break. We've been working on our very own merch for a long time now. It is live on the website. Please do check it out. And that's it really. Back to the episode.
You can make the sun turn purple. You can make the sea turn turtle. But you know you could never make me love you more. You can turn wine into water, sadness into laughter. But you know you could never make me love you more. Let the stars fall down, let the leaves turn brown. Still you know you could never make me love you more. Let the rainwoods die, let the wells run dry. Still you know you could never make me love you more.
I'll be honest with you guys, we shouldn't be able to end up with a result this good compared to the things we just did. Because I gotta be honest, it's looking pretty amazing. Sure, there are a ton of mistakes I would like to do better sometime, but I'm already really happy we managed to save this part. Now I ended up cutting some Alcantara for contrast and for hiding evidence to make it look a bit nicer, because it is nice like this. We don't have to go into detail, okay? This is just the way I like it. Now we're gonna get to the interior in just a minute, but before we get there, I have this handbrake booth I just quickly wanted to pop on here. So this uses the original bracket that was in here. We just sand it off to have it reupholstered, just like a bunch of other interior pieces, which we'll get to in a second. But with this, it just looks chef's kiss, if you ask me. I did end up having a little side quest idea. You see, I figured it would be nice to have a wireless phone charger beneath here. Except, as it turns out, carbon doesn't like to be microwaved by a little Chinese device. So that didn't last all too long. At least not long enough for us to film it, but we always have a little Snapchat. Now you might be wondering, how much did we actually end up saving? Well, with our freshly... What the f... Who measures in milk? 1.3 kilos. And that is not including a fresh basket of cigarettes and the actual arm mount. And we're gonna obviously take this out because it wasn't in there, so gotta keep it fair and square. 300 grams. So that is an entire kilo saved. And 2 years life expectancy removed. Alright, now before we put this into the car, we're gonna do the interior first, because I want to show you what this looks like in the complete interior as I have it in mind. However, we're still waiting on some parts, so we're gonna continue, or we're gonna finish it this episode, but before we get on with this, there's a little side quest. Can you spot the problem here? How about now? I mean, we all know it's coming, you know, it's just a matter of time. And when you look at it, there's no way this would have ever stayed. So, the obvious next step is to break off all the tabs, make a mold. All right, so one of the things we're gonna do first, because this is actually, for real, for once, a relatively simple piece. One that doesn't require complex molds or really hard thinking for that matter. The only thing we're gonna do first is patch these holes, because this is by far the worst way to jack up an E36. I've never ever seen one. Just don't do it like that. So we're gonna simply glue them back into place, make it flush, make a mold where 2 of the side skirts fit in at once, so we can just make one piece, get both side skirts out of them, and then really we'll be able to fix it to the car the original way, and the upside. We might skip some corners there.
Yeah, I'm overzealous when I'm thinking about the cash flow. I never had no handouts, just came natural. I've been testing so much, all these wrestlers nice, all these different situations that I've been through. I seen pain trying to...
Okay, so usually when you make a part, you paint it. And you do a special paint, which we have, in order to make the mold, because you can't do it with regular automotive paint. Now, they all say you have to paint it before you can take the mold. Now, you see there's a problem with that, because painting this again is going to take some more time, and I want to make the mold now. So, we're going to do a little science experiment here, like we've done before. And we're just going to leave the, Bondo right on the part, double the coat of chemical release agent, do a little prayer, and hope it turns out okay. Because, you see, the way I go about it is, even if we fuck this up and this gets stuck in a mold, we can still fix it. So, again, there are no consequences to my shortcuts. So, we're gonna glue these onto the glass plate here. Start doing the gel coat preparation, do some waxing on sides, make sure we don't do any funny stuff like 0 draft angles. No, name and shame. Yeah, let's start breeding some toxins.
All this jewelry on my body, acting like the hood. I need a brown skinned chick just like Megan Good. Holding up every promise that I ever made. Music in the background, it's a serenade. Been rapping 10 years, boy, this ain't a phase. I paid dues, paid rent, and I stayed the same. I had teardrops running down my face. I've been through a lot, I had real pain. But thank God, cause we really on a better days. They say life's a gamble, you gotta roll the dice. I risked a lot of different things just to live this life. When you down bad, you gotta pay the price. I've been through hell and back just to live this life. They say life's a gamble, you gotta roll the dice. I risked a lot of different things just to live this life. When you down bad, you gotta pay the price. I've been through hell and back.
Okay, so we put the side skirts in some gel coat. And now it's just a matter of doing another gel coat, after which we're going to reinforce it with fiberglass, just like that, which we can't show you, And then it's time to unpack. We'll just flip it over, remove the old ones easily, just as easily as the CSL console, because we got some fancy draft angles here. And then, I mean, it's such an easy part to make. Except for some reason, it did still take us 2 days. And I'm not sure who took the time, because it wasn't me. Because this is easy, right? It's easy. So, I'm not sure where the time went. Because, you know, the side skirts, we just got a piece of glass. You put 2 side skirts on it. You fix them. You wax them all around. And you put a gel coat over it.
2 days ago. Just like that.
How did that happen? And it keeps happening. That's the problem. It keeps happening.
We keep falling for it.
All right.
Wat, die pamu, was daar iets mee?
Ja, kijk, ze zeiden dat hecht waarschijnlijk. Maar kijk, wat ik zie, is gewoon iets waar je glas scheurt. Win-win.
Dat is beter. Dat is beter.
Okay, so we've been doing this for a couple of parts now, and with each part you make, you skip some more, well, not necessarily steps, but you cut some corners. You know, when the manual says to wait 15 minutes, you bring it down to 10. So far, we've been very successful at cutting corners without consequences. However, this time, it started to bite us in the ass just a little bit, because for some reason, and we're not quite sure what we did wrong, but the gel coat came out a little tacky. And it has to do with air entering the system, or not mixing it properly, or being impatient. Probably not the last one. Something else, something external, something we couldn't do anything about, most likely. So we had to sand down the entire mold again to get rid of the tacky top surface finish. So after we've done that, we found some hidden caves here and here, which, you know, would normally be a reason to repair it in the proper way, except I found out you can also just stuff it with wax and then just fix whatever is wrong on the final part. So that's exactly what we're going to be doing today, all in the name of efficiency, because, you know, we're already late with the video, which, I mean, if you're always late, is it actually late, or is it again just a normal schedule? Something to think about for you guys. So in the end, Olaf was in fact right about the Bondo needing a layer of paint on top of it, because otherwise you'll peel it off. But we were righter because we managed to just fix it in a couple of minutes. So who's really in the wrong here? Let's cook. AliExpress.
It's like a jungle sometimes, it makes me wonder how I keep from going under. It's like a jungle sometimes, it makes me wonder how I keep from going under. Broken glass everywhere, people pissing on the stage, you know they just don't care. I can't take the smell, can't take the noise, got no money to move.
hear me out. Okay, so we ran out of bag. We didn't have any more sealant bag. What we did, however, was the piece of scrap bag that we saved for some reason. This is that reason for when you run out of bag. However, there's a leak in the boat. There's a leak somewhere. We've decided to make our own bag. A superior bag. The best bag you have ever seen. There are many bags, but this one's mine.
One week later.
So we thought we'd be smart this time. So instead of the usual drop test where we just simply run the pump for 30 minutes while the mold is clamped half, and after 30 minutes we open it to see if there's a pressure difference. Pressure difference meaning there's a leak somewhere. It takes 30 minutes. Due to advanced research, we've managed to get that down to 15 and sometimes 10 minutes. And we thought we'll improve even more by getting the proper tools. So, you know, we got a digital readout meter and we tossed out the box, tossed out the manual, because it's just a simple number. Number goes up, you're fucked. Number is stable, you're good. So we hooked up the system, we did a couple of tests, and the number kept creeping up. So we figured there's a leak, you know, there's a tiny leak, we'll do it the right way, we'll try to fix it. So after chasing our tails for 3 nights, making 4 bags, different bags, you know, because the color is the problem. The color is always the problem, you know, so we changed that, the green bag to the red one, and then the lighter shade of green and a blue bag, and it still didn't work. And we were absolutely insane. Staying here for 2 nights trying to find a leak. There's no leak. So it turns out the material, the bags, even the hoses, they absorb gases in the atmosphere. And under vacuum, they release those gases, meaning your gauge will creep up. So it's completely normal. So we've been chasing our tails for the last 3 days. So we're back to square one, making the thing of which we said, oh man, that's gonna be so easy. It's gonna be the easiest part on this car. I mean, it could have been. Double victory. Double victory. Each is dry. Nothing we can't fix. Alright, so far our little easy side quest, the side skirts. And now the tricky part comes. actually mounting these. Now, if you've ever mounted or removed side skirts from an E36, you know it's a one-time deal. All those clips will either break off or the side skirt will twist or bend, or in any case, you'll be ordering new clips. So we've had a long discussion about how we're gonna mount these onto the car. I gotta admit, gluing and tape were on top of my list, but we've tried to do it the right way this time. So instead, we just figured, what if we sacrifice an original side skirt, take out this part, and simply glue it into the side skirt. Now, the idea was quite fine. However, because of the added thickness, it's gonna be away from the car just a little bit too much. And other than that, it's pretty heavy. It doesn't quite align with our principles. So we tried to do it the hard way, and we've made some carbon filament 3D tabs. So the plan is, we fitted it on the car, it looks fine. So we figured we're gonna install the clips on the car, put these onto the clips, apply glue, and then just put it into place. And in theory, we should be able to just click it off again and it should be fine. It is pretty strong. It's stronger than the original ones. Nou, dat is echt niet gek. Mind you, there is supposed to be a little rubber here, so that's why there's a gap. There's supposed to be a gap. The reason for still seeing the gap is because, well, you can buy everything new from BMW. You know, the little clips, everything, and it's actually quite affordable. You know, for all the clips, you pay 20 bucks, and even the side skirts are surprisingly affordable. I think, on the top of my head, they're about 100 euros a side, which for an original part is really affordable. Don't forget about the little rubber seal, however. It's 90 euros per side. So, you know, when you have a bad hair day, we have a bad filming day, you know? You spend 4 hours trying to shoot shit and it just doesn't come out. Because contrary to popular belief, even though we have all these fancy lights, we don't know what the fuck we're doing. We just start out, we put the car down, we put up some lights, we try a few shots, it doesn't work. Shuffle the lights, try again. Shuffle the lights, try again. When you shuffle them enough, at some point, you're bound to have a couple of good shots. And that is how we work. Unfortunately, today, we didn't get any proper shots. Because for some reason, I mean, side skirts aren't the most cinematic thing to film. But now comes the real test. The test of all tests. You see, we figured out this mounting system for the side skirts. The question is, can we also remove them?
If we can.
Let me rephrase that. Can we remove them without having to make a new one? That is the real question. We didn't break a single one. I've never had that, not even on original side skirts. I call that a success. That was supposed to be like that. Now, before we actually get on to installing the carbon piece, there's a couple of things I want to do first before we do the cherry on top, as I see it. Because even though we did the interior a couple of episodes ago, and I think that came out really nice, in the meanwhile, it's a long while, I've had some time to think about it, and there's a couple of things we could do a lot better. A lot. Starting out with the steering wheel. Now you see, when it comes to the steering wheel, I was really hesitant on picking anything else than what I already had. Because I figured, or I think that most aftermarket steering wheels, they just look tacky. It's just too much and it's just too distracting from the rest of the interior. Especially with a full-ish interior. On a track car, it hits different. You have a pretty empty interior and for some reason it just fits. But I was really opposed to any other steering wheel basically. So when my friend Rami contacted me and said, hey, we'll just make a custom steering wheel, I was firmly against it because I just figured it'll just look tacky and I was really opposed to the idea. And then he just sent me a mock-up of this one, as you've just seen in the footage. This is the perfect steering wheel for this car because it is just as simple as it gets, not even the red stitching. I just wanted to keep it a little bit more minimalistic. And more importantly, it has the buttons that I wanted, except we don't need a fat curly wire beneath the steering column, which just looks terrible. It looks cool in race cars, it just looks terrible. It's not a race car, it just it doesn't fit in here. So what he figured is we'll make an electrical connector in the quick release, which then uses the original electronics from the E36 steering column to relay the wires and the signals. So all in all, I think we have the perfect steering wheel for this interior. But before we can actually get to placing this crown jewel together with the CSL console, we gotta do some boring tasks first. Almost forgot. The saggy dashboard issue. No way, no. I bet that it's the top part responsible for the sagging, as well as the lower part, but I'm hoping it's more of the top part. So about the top part, not the bottom part. It was mostly a price thing. This was 100 euros, this was 400 euros.
400?
Excluding taxes.
Glove box sag. And so, because I like to do...
I watched this video before, and then I figured it wasn't worth it, because the video is 26 minutes. 26 minutes. Unfortunately, even though this part is brand spanking new, and it fits a little better now, it's still sagging a lot. So, unfortunately, we actually have to do the right thing. So, I'm gonna skip through the video, see if I can get the gist of it.
Zij zit in de video.
Nee, ik ga nu gewoon puur op intuïtie af. See? Ooh. It was bent, we bent it back, so that's solved. And all we need to do now is simply glue this one back into place, compensate a bit for the sagging, so we'll just... Yeah, I can live with that. I mean, it could be like a mil closer, but then again, if you look closely at any E36 interior parts, it's not good. Yeah, I'm really happy with that. Now, one of the most important things is the shifter. Now, before this, I had a CEA shifter, and besides the fact that it's an ungodly amount of money, I spent almost 1100 euros on it simply because I wanted to have it in black. And then it turns out when you buy it in black and you pay all the extra prices for it, you get 50 shades of gray. So I wasn't really too happy with that, and it was only until I put it up on social media that they actually said, hey, yeah, we'll get you a new one. So besides that, there's the fact that the shifter itself is really large, meaning the base of the shifter protrudes all the way up into the dashboard. So you have to cut out a bunch of crap from the dashboard, from the whatever this is, and we're gonna opt for something more subtle. So this ST shifter, it allows us to put the base completely up under the dashboard, and most importantly, iconic golf ball shifter. This, above all, is the most important part. So the funny thing is, I just simply cut out a piece here just to make room for the shifter, not knowing that an E36 with manual windows, meaning without the button holes here, is very, very rare. The price I had to pay for this. Okay, now before we can actually install the shifter, we gotta install the shifter boot, because we gotta disassemble the shifter partially because we want the real snug fit with the original shifter boot, which we've reupholstered in Alcantara with some fancy red stitching. Except we gotta disassemble half the shifter to get this on, because I wanted the OEM look. Now I gotta pay the price. Now, ever since we started making carbon parts, and mind you, we are not professionals, we're just still a bunch of amateurs trying things way out of our leagues. But ever since we started on the fenders and the doors, people have asked us if we are intending on selling them. And well, the answer is yes, we're not quite ready to do the big things just yet. So we figured we're gonna start with something small. And I think the CSL console is the perfect example of that. So we have, since we have made another mold, we have started production on a couple of extra ones, and I think it will be possible to ship the first 10 units by the end of this month. So if this is something you're interested in, you can check it out on the website. Now you guys know how bad we are at making choices. Not the impulsive kind where we got that dialed in, but the kind you really have to think about. For example, whether we're gonna make this in glossy or a matte finish. What if I told you that isn't the same console? This is another one we made in glossy finish. All right, we're gonna get back to work on these two cars, and maybe in the meanwhile, you can work on your own project car. Maybe not, but I'll see you guys in a couple of weeks.